welcome to the first of three 2022 Save the Frogs grants discussions. I am Save the Frogs founder Dr. Kerry Kriger, and I'm happy to be here to give you tips and advice regarding applying for and winning a Save the Frogs grant. Since 2009, we've given out over $120,000 in grants to amphibian conservationists around the world. Last year, we gave out exactly $10,051 in grants. This year, we're aiming to disperse about $10,000 as well. Everything you need to know about Save the Frogs grants is, or your highest likelihood of finding it, is on savethefrogs.com/grants. So definitely go check that out. That's where you can see what we offer, what is permitted in a project, what we will automatically reject if we see it in your application, and the application forms are there. The grants applications are accepted, generally speaking, from February 1st to March 1st each year. I say generally speaking because we have three types of grants, and one of those is conference travel grants. Conference travel grants are accepted year-round. The two main types of grants, though, that I'll be talking about today are the Amphibian Conservation grants and the Save the Frogs Day grants. And those ones, the applications are only accepted February 1st to March 1st. And let's see, thanks to John Borman and Michael Horton of the Save the Frogs Board of Directors for showing up today, and they can assist in giving advice on grants. They've read lots of grant applications before, as have I. And I think what I'm going to start with, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, let's start out right here. Save the Frogs grants page. Now, I've gone through this page in the past, so I won't go through it thoroughly, but we can see that our grants fall into three categories: amphibian conservation grants, Save the Frogs Day grants, and travel grants. And we have a notifications list right there. If you've never signed up for that, go ahead and do it, though you'll probably hear about our grants anyway, since if you're here, chances are I'll say 100% chance you're getting our newsletters currently. All right, so we've got a what we fund section and a what we do not fund section. So number one is go read that. Throughout the years, just about every grantor, every person who decides on grants and gives them out, told me the most important thing for you to do is to know what the grantor will fund and will not fund, and to abide by that, to come up with a project that they will fund, do not include things they don't fund, and to make it very clear what you are going to do in your project. It's hard for us to give out money if we have questions about your project. So make it so that we know everything about your project. And I've done my part by updating, or at least I'm going to do it in the next 2 days, but I'm going to show you, it's all written out. We've got a lot of questions this year, that there will be far fewer questions for us on the grant decision team to have about your application. My goal is that I know everything that you're going to do, and therefore I and the other people who are deciding on the fate of your grant application can make that decision because we have the info that we need. So I'll go through that momentarily. All right, discussions. On this page, we have a couple videos that you should definitely watch. And where can you get more videos about applying for grants and being a better fundraiser? You can go into Save the Frogs Academy. And how are you going to get there? I'll show you in a second. First, let's just see what else is here. I'm going to add the 2022 grants to this page. I'll just go ahead and show you right here. I just published this about 10 minutes ago. 2022 Save the Frogs grants winners. SaveTheFrogs.com/grants-winners-2022. I'll put a link right on that main grants page so you can find this easily. And anytime you need to see recent posts, they probably show up on our Save the Frogs homepage. So anyway, more info to this. Already there's my Save the Frogs World Summit 2022 presentation where I announce the winners from last year and give some thoughts on those applications. You can watch that, see what kind of project we have recently funded. And then I've got a listing of who are, where they're from, what organization they're affiliated with, if they're affiliated organization, and what type of it was that they won. So let me clarify something. If the money is going to go outside the U.S., you must be affiliated with a nonprofit organization. We will not send money to anyone or anything other than a nonprofit organization outside the U.S. If you're inside the U.S., you can be an individual. All right. As I said, there's a place you can learn more about grant writing. That's in Save the Frogs Academy. And you can go over to Save the Frogs Academy and scroll down. Sorry, this page is not too clean looking. I'll clean it up. Let me just hit Command F and I'll say fundraising. There it is. There's a course on fundraising at Save the Frogs /courses/fundraising. Who can access these courses? Members can access them. Scholarship recipients can access them, and anyone who comes up here to Academy and clicks 28 days free Academy access them. Now, to apply for a grant, you must be a member. How are you going to do that? You can go to, there's not a button up here. Is that possible? All right, well, savethefrogs.com/membership, or you can apply for a scholarship, savethefrogs.com/scholarships. All that info is on the grants page. So whether you have money to donate and become a member, or if you don't, then you just go apply for a Save the Frogs scholarship. It's not a very difficult application. If you look like a real person who's interested in amphibians, then your scholarship application is almost certainly going to be approved. Then you will be a Save the Frogs member and you can apply for the grants. So in here in fundraising, we've got 5 videos or 5 lessons worth watching. Now, watching a lot of those is a lot of time to apply for a grant, but all that knowledge will help you throughout your career. So you may as well just go ahead and do it. Now let's go on. I want to show you this brand new application that we're going to have. Okay, it's got plenty of the old questions, but it's got new questions too. Now I've not taken this live yet, but this is what's going to be in it. And we're going to focus right now on the amphibian conservation grants. Okay, so first off, as with any grant that you ever do, you should prepare your answers in a separate document that you save for your future reference, so that if the form crashes during the application process, you will have your answers elsewhere. Okay, that's one reason to do it elsewhere. Another reason is to be able to refer back to it for the duration of this project and for your next grant application, maybe for the same or a similar project. And then you'll have all your answers there ready to go, and your application will be faster the next time around. So go ahead. You should always look through the questions before you apply, before you come up with your project even. Look through all the questions that we're asking so that you know what you need to be thinking about. All right, so first name, last name, email, what country you are from, okay? Not where the project's going to take place. Where are you from, or where are you based? Okay, some info about you. Tell us how or why you are qualified to undertake and complete this project. Your resume is not required if you're applying as part of an organization, but if you're just an individual from the USA applying, then we do need your resume. Okay, resume, CV, curriculum vitae, start date and end date of your project. So start date. Our grants, we're going to send out a decision probably April 1st. We have one of these grants discussions happening April 3rd, during which we will announce winners too. You can expect to have the money by about April 15th, so I suggest you don't have a start date before April 15th. Do you agree to submit a final report? If you say no, you're not going to get the grant. So say yes and mean it and turn in a grant report. When are you going to submit it? We let you tell us your final report submission date right here. It should be not too long after your project closing date, so that everything is fresh in your head. What are we going to do with your report? We're going to assess that you did a good job, and we're hopefully going to take that info, put it up on the Save the Frogs website to inspire future frog savers and to let potential donors know how the money gets spent in the grants. All right, the name of your organization, if you're affiliated with an organization, which you must be, USA, mailing address of your organization. That's an actual mailing address, not an email address. Info about your organization. What's your organization's mission, activities, history, URL of your organization website, or your organization's involvement in history with Save the Frogs, any relationship you've had with Save the Frogs in the past. All right. Now about your proposal itself. What type of grant are you seeking? Amphibian Conservation Grant, Save the Frogs Day Grant, Trout Conference Travel Grant. What is the title of your project? This is new this year. All right, give it a good title. An executive summary of 1 or 2 paragraphs. What's an executive summary? Is a really concise, well-written summary of your project that lets somebody know what's going on, who, what, where, why, when, how much what. Well, if you have any numbers of importance, put them in there, and especially how much does it cost, right? In an executive summary, it's kind of like if you were to email a funder, sometimes they'll want a pre-proposal or something like that before they allow you to apply. Then you're going to say something like, we are requesting X thousands of dollars from so-and-so organization to do this. Proposed activities. This is where you can go into a bit more detail. This used to be 400 words max. I shortened it to 300 words max because I broke down a lot of the info that we're going to need and put them in the following questions. All right, the context of your project. If the project fits in, if it's part of a larger project, describe that larger project and how this fits in. All right, so we'll see. It's not a required field. Your project may not be part of a bigger project, no problem. We just want to know if it is. Location, where exactly is the project taking place? Beneficiaries, if you're targeting a certain species, then let us know what that species is, why they're chosen, what's the significance of the species. Beneficiaries, people, if there's a specific group of people or organizations that will benefit from the project, then let us know who and why they were chosen. Okay, so maybe that's like, name of school for this school because it's next to a wetlands and the 4th graders love frogs. Or maybe the 4th graders don't love frogs and we want to educate them about frogs. Whatever it is, put it there, not required. Okay, maybe you won't be dealing with any people. Maybe you're just doing field surveys, okay? In which case you probably will have species as beneficiaries. Field surveys. If you have field surveys, give us the details, the methodology, the science behind it, how it was thought out, things such as plot size, transect length, number of surveys, time of day, time of year, climatic factors, number of times conducted at the same location. We're not saying all of those things, but anything that went into how you decided to do or how you will be conducting your survey, let us know. Educational events. If you're holding educational events, what are you going to teach? How many participants? What age group? What demographic group? What are your goals of the event? Educational materials. If you're requesting funds to create educational materials, then tell us, what are they going to be? Posters, leaflets, books? What will the text be? If you don't have the full text, summarize it. Who will design them? Designer, you. Will there be a Save the Frogs logo included? Hope so. Okay, it's not required, but why not put it there? All right, and then we give you a place later on to upload draft materials. All right, so hopefully you have something thought out rather than just saying, please give us money for educational materials, and we haven't thought about what those are going to be or what they're going to be. All right, put some thought into what they're going to be if you're asking for money for them. Merchandise distribution. If you're requesting funding for clothing, like Save the Frogs shirts, proud member of Save the Frogs, then give us some details. Why are you going to be distributing merchandise? What's the importance to the outcome of the project? Who's going to receive the merchandise and why them? Maybe that's your volunteer team. Maybe it's every kid at the school. What precisely will be printed on the merchandise? Who will design it? All right, and again, probably I should say right here, draft materials. can be uploaded. So maybe you already have a design, in which case, hey, we'd love to see it. Farming and agriculture. If your project has a farming or agricultural component, identify what species are involved, whether they're native or non-native, and how it fits into the local ecology. Okay, why is this here? Because we've had projects that say we want to farm large land snails to give people who otherwise were hunting frogs a chance to farm something and not have to hunt frogs. Okay, so if we receive something like that, we really want to know about the farming activity and the impact of that farming and what's going to take place. Equipment. If you're requesting equipment, please explain how are you going to use the equipment, what will become of the equipment when the project is completed, who will take possession of it. And I have a note here, be aware there are groups such as Idea Wild that specifically focus on donating equipment to environmental projects. Why would I put that there? Because Save the Frogs would love for you to be getting money from elsewhere. Okay? We are a public charity. We're not a private foundation. The difference between a public charity and a private foundation, one of the main differences is, generally speaking, private foundations have a lot of money and they give it out to public charities. Public charities generally seek money and conduct projects. Okay, so we want you to be applying for grants from other organizations, getting money from other organizations. We hope that these grants help you out and that you add them, if you're a winner, to your resume. Let other organizations know that you've won money from Save the Frogs, because that it should help with your future grant success. So don't depend on Save the Frogs as your only option. There are tons of organizations that give out funding for probably any project that you can think of. All right, project team. Who's on your team? All right, maybe it's not just you. Maybe there's 3 other people. Who are there? What are their names? All right, what's your role? What are their roles? Are there other collaborating organizations, other groups involved in this project? If so, who and what is their role overall? Communications. In what way will you be communicating this project over the internet? Social media, web page? I'd love to see you make a web page about your project if you're a winner. Why would we care? Well, because we like publicity too. It sounds good to us if you can get if you can provide some publicity and let the greater world know about what's going on. How many volunteers are expected? So how many people will be taking part to help you make the project come to fruition? How many participants are expected? Those would be like, people who join on your field trip or people who are at your event taking part. All right, now, of course, we need to know how much money are you requesting. The limits are stated on the grants page. I'll let you go look at that. If you plan to be applying for more than $2,000, which is possible, you should definitely have contacted us in advance to discuss that. Budget details. This is incredibly important, and I believe I'm going to put up a budget spreadsheet and maybe require you all to fill out that spreadsheet so that we make sure we get the info that we want. And why would I do that? Because usually I find that grant application budgets are lacking in many respects, and there's a very precise info that should be included when you apply for grants. But to sum it up, we need to know how exactly you're going to spend the money if you receive it. Okay? There should not be any doubt in our mind as to how the money is going to be spent. There should not be anything in your budget that was never discussed elsewhere. All right? Anything you're asking money for, it should not be a surprise when we see it in the budget, because we already heard all about your project. All right? It should all make sense what you're asking for. Look at the last thing. Tip, double check all your math. Don't have any math errors in a budget. Okay? If you don't use a spreadsheet, chances are you're going to have a math error. Spreadsheets will update automatically as numbers update. Numbers often update, okay, as you change things around about your project. Maybe you thought you were going to be out for 4 nights, and then it becomes 5 nights. Change it 4 to 5, let the spreadsheet do the math to update everything. All right. Anything else you'd like us to know? You can add anything that hasn't been covered and attachments. You can upload anything, budget spreadsheets, photos of you, photos of potential merchandise, designs for educational materials, etc. Let me unshare this. And thanks for sticking with me through that. Now, that's a lot of questions. I admit it. Okay? I'm highly aware. That's a lot of questions. We don't require long paragraphs as answers. You didn't see anything in there that said like 1,000 words maximum or anything like that. So maybe you can answer those things in 1 or 2 sentences. At least let us know the basics and that you've put some thought into it. And it will make the grant application process significantly easier for us. And when it's easy for us, then you hopefully get the decision that you're looking for, because we got all the information about your project. We can tell that you thought about all those things. They all make sense. And then it's easy to say yes. And just one more note on that. I know it's a lot of questions. I know that applications take a long time. And as I said, the benefit is not just the funds that you would get for the project if you were to win. It's that you've clarified your project. You've got all the writing, all the answers that you can use as text for a website about your project, a web page about your project, future grant applications. If you win, then you'll get experience carrying out the project. You'll get publicity on the Save the Frogs website when we communicate you and your project and your final report. And you will have a higher chance at winning grants from other organizations, as you should add your grant successes to your resume. All right, I think that's all I have to say. I wasn't expecting to talk so much, but I did put a lot of time into improving that grant application, and that comes with advice from Mike and John here, who have read through lots of applications in the past. So with that, I'll open it up to anybody who has anything to discuss. This is a grants discussion.
Hey, Kerry, could I say just a couple of things here?
Sure.
So there's 2 things. One, we have all these fields of information that we're looking for. Try and fill out those fields. Invariably, people think, oh, that's not important. Well, if it comes down to basically a tie, and one has a lot of information and the other one has left a lot of fields blank, chances are the one with the most information is going to come out ahead. And then the other thing, which applies to all grant applications, invariably, we get applications where people have a neat project. It just doesn't fit within the categories that we're looking for. And so if you have something like that, then if you're going to apply for our grant, then you need to make adjustments to try and cover the things that we're specifically looking for. And invariably, whether it's this grant program or other grant programs I'm involved in, invariably you get people that just put in what they want to do without any real adaptation to what the people who are funding or providing funds for want accomplished. And sometimes it would be as simple as taking what you want to do and just highlighting the aspects that really meet the request for proposals. Or sometimes it means making minor adjustments so that you gather maybe slightly different information in addition to what you want to do. But if you don't make it fit what the requester is looking for, there's no way you're going to get funding. So those are my 2 things.
All right, thanks, Mike. Okay, so if any of you out there have questions about our grants process, or if you want to let us know what you have in mind, if you want any feedback on that, if you want to ask us, hey, this is my project, is that the kind of thing that you would fund, then go for it. If you are here from another organization and you are a grantor, let us know, or even just, hey, let us know why you showed up. I noticed that some of you are not past grant applicants. All right, Margaret asks, are the next 2 meetings the same info or will it be more and different? Well, I can guarantee you I'm not going to go through that application again. Okay? I record these things for a reason. I try not to repeat myself on any of these videos. So I actually did not have any plan for this meeting. That's why I called it a discussion. It was not originally intended to be a presentation. Why I put the next meetings there, February 13th. One is because I just announced this one, and I know that some people it'll be too late for, they'll see it late. So I wanted to have another, but also I thought some applications may have come in by then, and I'll have actual maybe new feedback based on what we're seeing, and people will have had more time to think through their project. As I said, go create a document outside of our application form, copy all the questions, put them in there, and then start answering them there. So it'll be another chance as your project gets more well thought out. Maybe the next time you show up here, and instead of just listening, you say, hey, this is my project. I've got some questions about it. So yeah, I don't expect it to be the same. I do plan to have a lot, I'll say at least a weekly event happening. Okay, last week we had a foothill yellow-legged frog presentation. We've got grants discussions coming up, and I've got more that I'll be announcing. And where will it go? I'm going to have an actual upcoming events page that I'm going to create so you can easily see that stuff. And if you have any suggestions, as you may have noticed, we've got a new event registration system going on. Hopefully that all was good. If you have any, if anything needs to be improved with that, let me know. So here on the homepage, you can see all kinds of stuff that's going on. New in the Save the Frogs Gift Center, including, hey, a book, Wetland Restoration and Construction. I'll be sending out a email soon all about wetland restoration and training. Let's see, recent articles always show up here. So you can see the newest articles on the site. Recently added pages as well, Save the Frogs Grants discussion. And recently added lessons, Saving the Foothill Yellow-Legged Frogs in Marin County. I think that's all. And we don't have any questions. I'm going to go ahead and end that there. Thanks to Mike and John for showing up, and to all of you out there interested in Save the Frogs grants. Please do spread the word to anybody who may be interested. If you want to put up a link to the Save the Frogs grants page on your website or your organization's webpage, maybe a helpful resources page or something like that, that would be cool. That's it. I'm Save the Frogs founder, Dr. Kerry Kriger, and we will be back here on the 13th of February and the 3rd of April discussing grants, and on that April 3rd date, announcing grants winners. All right, bye.